Hello and welcome to Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge Diaries. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornatal from In the Money Media here for the Breeders' Cup as we look back at last weekend's qualifiers to the big dance. Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge coming up in just a few weeks' time, and then we'll look forward to the qualifying opportunities that still remain. We'll also have a couple of guests, including one of our regulars and the winner of the HorsePlayers Happy Hour Tour. Let's go back to last weekend. We'll show you the names up on the screen and give props to the folks that got the job done. First off, out in California from the California Crown Betting Challenge on Saturday. Overall winner Stephen Wells went to the front early and held on gamely to win a $10,000 BCBC seat, an NHC seat, and cash prizes as well. Edward Dykey in second place also gets that BCBC seat. Then on Sunday, there was more action at Santa Anita. Bob Ike, a well-respected handicapper and longtime contest player, punches his ticket, as does Bill Sherman, who's been a veteran on the scene for many, many years. TwinSpires.com had a contest as well. We know the overall winner passed on the BCBC seat, so I think that means Chris Hartman, second place finisher, is going to get that BCBC seat. That is not confirmed, but we're going to go with it for the purposes of this video. We'll correct it later if need be. Meanwhile, over on horseplayers.com, we had more qualifiers as well. Howard Yankovic, Ken Jordan, Mark Stovall, Raj Setyan, and Timothy Brockle got the job done there. And then my favorite one of the week, and we're going to hear from her in just a little bit, out of the HorsePlayers Happy Hour Tour, Julie Loboyko getting a $10,000 BCBC seat. Very excited for her and excited to speak with her a little bit later in the show. Meanwhile, let's look forward to BCBC qualifying opportunities. Of course, check out horseplayers.com. Tournaments, feeders, qualifiers running all the time of special interest this week. Our HorsePlayer Happy Hour playoffs begin. That's a closed contest, but alongside it, we're going to run an open qualifier for the BCBC, and you can get involved in that. And the special benefit of this contest, the house cut goes to charity, Thoroughbred Aftercare, specifically the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance and our friends over at Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. That's this Thursday, an all Big A lineup for that one. Encourage you to get involved. Then at the weekend, TwinSpires.com are back in action with a game on October 5th. As are our friends at Santa Anita /ExpressBet, another low ratio challenge happening on the 5th. To learn more about that one, expressbet.com/tournaments. TwinSpires, of course, you just go to twinspires.com and click the tournaments tab. It's prominently displayed there on the homepage. Looking ahead to next weekend, a pair of contests out at Keeneland. Jim Goodman, the man to speak with about those, Keeneland.com. But there is the fall challenge and sort of the auxiliary contest as well next weekend that they've been doing. Those will be happening on the 11th and 12th. Encourage you to check in on the schedule for future contests over at expressbet.com, over at twinspires.com. There will be more opportunities between now and the big day. Okay, with that business out of the way, I think it's time to bring in our first guest. There he is now, our man, Justin Mustari. Justin, how are things?
Everything's good. Say it could have been slightly better over the weekend, but still a pretty good weekend for sure.
I'm not sure if you're referring to the Canterbury contest, but let's start there. I saw you did finish up in the money. You did fall a little bit short of the BCBC goal, but you will be heading back to the NHC, a tournament you've won. So you got to be feeling pretty confident about that. Give us the lowdown. How did it all happen at Canterbury the other Thursday night?
Yeah, say it's different playing a contest on a Thursday night, especially a decent sized contest where people are betting good amount of money, especially at a place like Canterbury. The pools are not that big, so that was definitely involving in the strategy. But I had a little bit of a run. I had a big win bet on a horse that I bet him at 7 or 8 to 1. Obviously, you're betting decent money, so that kind of drops down a little. I think some other people were on the same horse. I think he drops down to 9 to 2-ish. So I think I was sitting right around third or fourth-ish going into the last race or two, and didn't really hit anything in the last two, but held on for seventh, and top 7 got an NHC. So can't be mad about that.
No, not too bad. Any close calls in those last couple of races, or just situations where you weren't right?
Yeah, the last two races were actually not any type of races that I would normally bet. A bunch of first starters in the second to last race. In the last race, there was a first starter that they were betting like crazy. I chose two horses that have already run, and I played an exacta that would have got me a BCBC seat, and they actually ran opposite. The other one won, and the other one ran second. So,
Oh man.
but hard to bet a lot of money at Canterbury, especially when I still have a chance to stay in the top seven and win an NHC seat. So I couldn't give away too much there going for a BCBC.
No, that's smart. And you landed in a more than acceptable place heading back to Las Vegas come March. But that's for a future conversation. Let's talk about your plans for this year's BCBC. There are still some qualifying opportunities. I ran through them just before you came on the show. Do you have your eyes on any of those?
Yeah, I will be playing in a couple more of the Twin Spires contests. I actually played in that one over the weekend as well. I think that one was $1,000 buy-in, $600 you bet with, and I played a big double off of two horses. I hit the first leg, and the second leg I ran second, and I would have cashed for about 5,000. And 2 weeks before, the winner was 30 some hundred. So I think I would have had a BCBC there, but I'll play in those. Maybe one or two more of those on Saturdays. And then ExpressBet has a bunch of the low ratio Santa Anita qualifiers that get into the BCBC there too. So I'll play in those. And then I will play some small feeders into Keeneland coming up. There's a nice Keeneland contest. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy in yet, but I will play some qualifiers, hopefully get an entry into there. They give away a ton of BCBC, ton of NHCs, all kinds of money too. That's a great contest. So hopefully I can work my way into that one.
Great opportunities coming up at all those venues you mentioned, and the Keeneland contest, one of those definitely, not unlike Cal Crown last weekend. It's always so fun when you're tying into these big racing meets, these big racing events. Speaking of which, we gave props to your father on last week's show. He won a BCBC entry. Were you pumped for him, and were you following that in real time, or did you just hear about it after the fact?
Yeah, I was following that. That's his second qualifier for the BCBC now, so I guess you might have had the wrong one on here, but but no, it's good for him. He probably would play two entries in the BCBC anyway, so it's one of those that when you win both of them in, you feel a little bit better about going in and going all in at times, and I'm sure he's happy about that.
Would you be content with one, or are you really gunning for, would consider buying to have two in the big dance?
I have not played two BCBC's entries yet. I think I've played about 5 or 6 years in the BCBC so far. So it definitely would be an advantage. The year that I won the NHC, I had two entries. So I think there's definitely a lot of advantage there, but I would not buy in for two. So if I qualify for one, there's potentially an option to buy the second one. But as of right now, just trying to work on one.
We got a few weeks left in BCBC Diaries, a few weeks left, of course, until the BCBC. We'll be checking in with you again at least one more time, but we'll wish you Godspeed until then, my friend, and look forward to talking soon.
Thank you.
Next up on the show, very proud and happy to bring in this year's HorsePlayers Happy Hour full season tour winner. She is Julie Loboyko from Lexington, Kentucky. Julie, how are things?
They are great, especially since it's confirmed.
Were you sweating it? Is that what I'm to believe from what you said?
Thursday was a long day. Let's just put it that way.
So first, before we get into the sort of scheduled questions, I heard from a pal who was actually the first year we did the HorsePlayer Happy Hour Tour with the BCBC seat attached, the man who won the tour. He's apparently your neighbor in Lexington, David Browning. What is going on? What is it with the water at this one block in Lexington?
I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, he's a good buddy. We have a lot of fun at the contests and stuff.
At what point this season did you start thinking it a serious possibility that you were going to be able to win? I was originally going to ask you, when did you think you were going to win, but it sounds like it wasn't until very late in the day on Thursday. So I'll ask another question. When did you think, hey, I'm going to make a serious run at this?
I guess a few weeks ago. And then I kind of stalled out for those few weeks. And yeah, Michael Saletta was gunning for me hard. But yeah, pretty exciting. I've been having a pretty good year so far. So
How did you hear about the HorsePlayer Happy Hour Tour in the first place? How long have you been with us?
I since the beginning, and I guess probably just from playing on horse players, or David might have told me. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a lot of fun though. I really enjoy it.
You mentioned the good year you're having. We've seen your success with these Horse Players Happy Hour games. Have you had some other nice wins as well?
Yeah, I managed to qualify for the NHC again. I missed out last year. Last year was like the worst year I've ever had. I couldn't hit a thing last year, and so that was nice to be qualified already. Um, and then I did kind of okay with the Kentucky Downs contests. Won a little bit, so yeah. So I've been having a much better year.
How long have you been involved with contests?
Oh gosh, probably since for probably about the past 15 years or so.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's way back. That the space isn't that old.
yeah. It's let's see. No, it's more like I guess 2013 was the first time I went to the NHC. And then I was playing a couple of years before that, trying to qualify. And
What are your favorite formats to play in?
actually, I like the win place contests. I really do. I'm kind of new to the live money and still finding my way there. So, but I've been getting a little more aggressive and a little better each time I play.
As a Lexingtonian, I think I know this answer, but how did you come to be a racing fan in the first place?
Well, actually, I'm from Cincinnati originally, and I was a horsey girl. You know, I took riding lessons the whole bit. And my dad and I, it was actually father daughter bonding once my mom died. We didn't really have a whole lot in common, me and my dad, and so we started playing the horses. And then we were at Keeneland and we discovered the contests, and that just turned it up to 11 for me. I just loved it. And so we were kind of a fixture after that.
That's fantastic. What's your approach to handicapping? How do you pick these winners that put you up to the top of the tour or leaderboard?
Oh, there's so many things involved. I like turf races, especially maidens on the turf, because I enjoy the breeding and the pedigrees. And there's certain sires that I really like, and I look for that and look at the workouts. Um, and then I always look for horses that I know that are going to come through for me. So that's one of the first things I'll look at when I'm looking at a card. So yeah, there's all kinds of things that come into play.
You mentioned liking the $2 win place. Sounds like you're not as experienced in live bankroll. Have you started to think about what your approach might be in this year's BCBC?
Not really.
Fair enough.
So I'm just going to do my thing, I guess, and see what happens. Um, I'm hoping to be competitive.
I mean, you have the option of playing it almost like a win place if you wanted to go that way. Try to find the right horses and allocate your bankroll as such. I mean, it's a format that allows a lot of creativity within it. So there absolutely is a chance to do your thing.
I've been playing a lot of win places on the Kentucky Downs contests and things, because that's something that I'm better at, and so just bet big,
Right.
And it comes through.
Thinking back to Breeders' Cups past, do you have a favorite race from the Breeders' Cup or a particular memory, whether it was from a sporting point of view or a score that you made?
When the Breeders' Cup was at Keeneland, the last time I went to the Cup on Friday, and that was a lot of fun. That was cool. And then Saturday, I stayed home and was betting from home. And the second race of the day on the undercard, I hit the super high five for $20,000. And it was crazy. I was watching the race and I'm like, I think maybe I might have hit something. I don't know. And I went and looked online and I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? So yeah, that's a good memory right there.
Fantastic. And in your own backyard, no less.
Yeah,
Where do you figure to be watching this year's Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge / Breeders' Cup from?
I'll probably stay here at home and just watch on my computer.
Do you have an office / war room set up, or is it just sort of like where you are right now?
Oh, usually I'm in front of the TV downstairs and watching on FanDuel TV or MYRA TV, and so
Very, very cool. Well, Godspeed in the BCBC. Great getting a chance to chat with you here today. We'll be rooting for you for sure. And you'll be in our playoffs too come Thursday on
yeah.
HorsePlayers Happy Hour, looking to go double-barreled to the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. Have you given that possibility any thought?
Boy, that would be something, wouldn't it?
Well,
I don't know. I kind of hit a wall the past couple of weeks, but we'll see what happens.
well, Godspeed in all these endeavors, and we look forward to chatting with you again soon, Julie. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks again.
Thanks again to Julie, as well as Justin, our friends over at the Breeders' Cup, especially Haley and Justin, who've been such big supporters of In the Money Media over the years. Join us for the HorsePlayers Happy Hour first round of the playoffs on Thursday. Play along in our direct qualifier to the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. And for more of my work, make sure you check out inthemoneypodcast.com, In the Money Players Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, or the In the Money Media YouTube channel. That's it for this week. I'm Peter Thomas Fornital, and I'll see you on the leaderboard.